What is up, ninjas? My name is Sam World and we are back to Tech House, and in today's video we're going to talk a little bit about how to mix the Tech House bass, and we're going to talk about why we are mixing it in a certain way. Now, the reason I'm making this video, guys, is because I remember back in the day I would always question everything I did. I would just put a compressor on because people said I needed to compress, and saturate because, again, people said I needed to saturate, but I never knew why or when I would need to do that kind of stuff. So today I'm going to be breaking it down for you guys. I'm going to be giving you guys a purpose of why you would do it and when you would want to do it and how, so that, again, we can simplify this process down for you so that next time you got to do this yourself, you can do it with confidence. Now, in order to do this, guys, I'm going to be using a construction kit from one of the Deceiver packs, and I am currently working on volume 3 for you guys, so make sure to be on the lookout for that. But if you want to, if you want to check out some cool tech house sounds, make sure you head over to evilsounds.com. I have the Dirty Chicken series as well as the Deceiver series, and I also have some cool G house stuff that might work. It's a little harder, but again, knowing you guys know how to use this stuff more than I do. I just like making the sounds. With that being said, guys, let's get straight into this video and talk a little bit about why we do stuff and how we would go about in mixing what we have here. Side of Ableton. Now here I have a patch that I'm working on for Deceiver Volume 3. It's going to be called Grid for Life, and I'm utilizing the construction kit from Deceiver Volume 2. I believe it's called the My Straight one. Again, if you want to kind of follow along, I just have a lot of stuff here. I'm keeping the vocal, I'm taking away the synths, so that we have this. Okay, now you can see the first thing, guys, when it comes to the bass, and I have to say it, is that the kick really does matter a lot. If you don't have the right kick for the song, or the right kick that works with the bass, literally find a good damn kick. That's one of the biggest issues first that you can get out of the way when it comes to bass. Your bass might sound great and all, but if the kick just doesn't match it, like you're using a dubstep kick or you're using like a cashmere top kick for big room or electro house, then again, it doesn't work. Majority of the kicks in tech house are going to be originating from the 909, which has a lot of dump to it in more of the low and the mid lows of it. So you got to keep that in mind. So, okay, so that's going to be the kick we're going to be utilizing there. And the kick and it are getting along fine. How can I tell? I'm not sidechaining the bass at all, and it sounds pretty good. There's nothing too harsh or bad happening yet. Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, when it comes to the bass, the first thing I'm going to decide to do is EQ. Now, there's a couple of things to talk about here, because depending on the kind of track you're making, this is going to differ. For this guy here, you can see it's more of a sustained bass. There's a bit of a dump to it. Okay, now the biggest first issue I see a lot is that a lot of people tell me, yo, Sen, I want to get like a very deep bass, and they're going for bass lines that have a lot of upper harmonics. And what I mean by that is, let's say that for some reason this bass opens up more. So then they have this. And that doesn't sound that bad, but the problem again is that it's going to take up more space. So you got to keep in mind that you're going to have to make way for other elements like your synths to not take up that spot that the bass now has. However, for this tutorial, I'm going to go with more of a deeper bass. So I'm going to try and control the upper harmonics as much as I can utilizing the filter. Now, keep in mind, some basses might run like some distortion on it. For instance, this guy here. Let's get rid of this too. So it might add some of those upper harmonics back in, even if you move that filter cutoff down. So you got to make sure that you use an EQ to tame that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go more for a deeper vibe on this, and I'm going to remove. So I like it there. We're going to leave it there. And that's pretty much it with that EQ there. Now, when you're boosting on a bass, there's a couple reasons why you might want to boost on it. The first one is that, let's say you're playing it, and you know, sometimes some patches aren't made as great as mine. I'm just kidding, that's just the thing. But I like to make my patches like this, guys, -3 lowest, and then I like to put an upper layer to it so that when you play, let's say D, you can still hear the bass. But let's assume that we are in F sharp like we are for this. And you find it's still sounding a little bit hollow. Then you can do a bit of boost on the mid-lows. And that's going to give it a little bit more oomph. If you find it's lacking low end for some reason, then you can add a bit of a boost again. Now, whenever you're boosting with the bass, try to make them a little bit more broader and not so narrow. And when you're trying to remove stuff, try to make it a little bit more of a broader cut so that you don't destroy the sound. Let's say you don't like that for some reason. Okay, so again, narrow cuts, broader boost. Now from there, I am going to add a sidechain right out of the get-go. Usually I like to add that at the end, but I do want to see how the bass is interacting once we finally get the right sidechain. Now, when it comes to sidechaining, for a lot of you guys, it's just put LFO tool, do this, and that's it. You call it a day. However, what I like to teach you guys is to do it with purpose. Now, the purpose of a sidechain, again, some people say it's to get the pump, and that is true. If you want that effect, you do get it with that. But the main purpose of it is the fact that when the bass and the kick hit together, you're never going to find a balance with it unless you get it both of them in phase. And what I mean by that is that the low end phase of the kick, and again, what I mean by that is this: you see how the sine wave is kind of moving at a certain speed, is similar to that of your bass. If your bass is going with, let's say, this, and then for some reason you get the opposite of this here, which would be the inverse of that, then it's going to cancel out, and that's when you get issues. So again, you could do it without sidechain, but I like to teach people with sidechain. It's a lot easier to pull off, and we don't want the bass and the kick, the body of the kick, again, this part of the kick, to fight. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the kick where it's at its heaviest, so we can kind of see that it's going to last between here all the way to around before that half bar mark. And we can kind of say leniently, we can kind of do a cut to here. So we're going to move this guy around there. Now, I could definitely have it here if you want to be super cautious. But again, it's not needed. We can definitely... Another way to do this is, let's say that you want to be a little bit more extra, then we can go with the kick here, use an LFO tool on it, and then we can use this waveform to see where the kick is actually ending. And we look at that, the kick's very thump, 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 and then it sort of starts to fall out by here, and then there's a little bit there. So it's safe to say you can definitely do halfway mark, but I feel like here would be fine and we wouldn't run into any issues. Now you can also shape the kick more. Let's say that you want it to be less stumpy. Could do something like of those sorts. We could control it like so. And now I go to my bass and I'm going to have similar, the inverse of that. I'm going to move this guy here to get rid of the click, put a little bit of a rounded vibe to smoothen it out. I think the smooth does the same thing. Okay, cool. Now from there, we're going to go and do a bit of saturation on it. Now, why do we saturate? That is a good fucking question. And the best way to explain it is like so. If we have a sine wave, and we're going to go with Serm and just open that up. In theory, when you have a sine wave, it's the cleanest waveform. It's pure. It's virgin, you know. It hasn't drank alcohol. Nothing has happened to it yet. And when we play it, you can see it sounds very subby, but again, it's just a fundamental. When you saturate a sound, and again, this is just to show the example, we're adding upper harmonics. Now, this is what you would consider upper harmonic. And goddamn, that's a fat bass. All right, let's lower it down. If I go and hit it with a third-party one like Decapitator, that one's going to give us 5 different forms that we can hit it. So if we go with first off the A, and you can see the tone changes a little bit as well. So that's what we're doing when we're saturating a bass. Now, the reason we might do that is, again, to just get more juices out of it, but also to get it to sound a little tighter, as saturation will have a sort of compression effect on the bass. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to hit it with just a little bit here before the EQ so that we don't bring in, again, those upper harmonics back in. Now, as I'm doing this, what I also want to do is I want to look at the volume. I don't want there to be an increase and go like, wow, saturation is awesome. I want the volume to be relatively the same, and I want to hear the change that it does. Next thing we're going to be doing, guys, compressing the bass. Now, this is where it gets a little difficult, and I'm going to try my best to explain this in purpose for you guys so that when you do it, you're like, I'm going to add a bit of attack, a bit of punch to the bass with compression. I'm going to control the change in volume with the compressor. I'm going to make sure the bass sustains a little longer with the compressor. Again, those are the reasons we might do it. Now, some people also like analog modeled compressors because they tend to either add a bit of saturation to the sound, a little bit of color. There's something about it that is imperfect because at the end of the day, the compressor is there to tame the volume, tame dynamics on the bass, but we can do a lot with it. Okay, so for instance here, I'm gonna have this bass. All right, and we're gonna use LFO to look at it first. Now you can see when I play it, it's doom, and then this is the attack, right? And then it sort of stays out. Now, if I want to, let's say, add punch to this bass, what I need to do is I need to give it a bit of a long attack, like 54 milliseconds, and then I'm going to pull down the threshold. Now, notice what happens as I pull down the threshold. The first part of the sound isn't getting reduced because, again, we gave it a bit of attack, but everything before it is. Now, when I play it, that's going to give it a little bit more punch because the initial part is louder and everything else sort of dims down in volume, so it sounds like boom, more of a hit. Now we want to make up the volume as well. So we're just going to add a little bit. So when it hits doom, doom, that's when you hear it the most. Not when it's sustaining out, because again, compressor's allowing that first part to come through. Again, we're gonna pull it down more. Okay, let's put more relief. And there it is. Now, I am latching on too much. Now, again, we don't want volume to be a huge factor in this in terms of like it got louder because you left the makeup gain on, because that's what a lot of people do and go like, it makes it louder. No, get rid of that. Make it up yourself. Just look at your dB. Now, if I put the sidechain on it and hear that, we can see how it reacts in the song. Let's bring this back in. Okay, so there's a bit of a change. It's more felt. You're not going to hear it that much, and a lot of people have issues hearing it. I can hear it because I've been doing it a lot, and I'm sure some of you guys can pick up on the bass kind of hitting, and then everything below it gets down in volume a little bit. But again, we can also do this the opposite way. We can choose to go, hey, you know what? You know, I want this bass to be more sustained. Maybe there's a bit of attack on it. and I want it to sustain more. Well, in that scenario, all I have to do is lower the attack. And now we're going to look at our waveform again. So let's do that here. There it is, right? Take it off. Okay, you can see there's a little bit of change in volume, right? And now we're kind of just leveling it out. Now let's make up the volume and bring it up. Now that sounds more like a sustained fucking mess. You can see how we're just flattening the curve, which is what we want with coronavirus. But again, the point of that is now if I hear that, and let's sidechain it again. I think the attack one with short release like we had before is the key. That one makes it sound really nice. It latches on, but it also has dynamics. As when you add a bit of attack, you also trick the brain, and it sounds a little bit more dynamic full. And right there, we're just taming that volume, getting it to sound nice and deep. Follow it up with a little bit of fluctuations, and we call it a day. Now, if you get rid of the compressor and decapitator and just run an EQ8 like that, which is what most people would do, that also sounds fine. But again, once we put that decapitator and this compressor, we just give it that extra edge that we want. And from okay, so those are going to be the three main things you're majority of the time going to be doing your tech house bass. Of course, there's more you could do. You could definitely say, you know what, I don't like that attack that happens in this part of the bass. So you might decide to put another compressor just a little bit to clamp down on that part there. Or again, do the damn smart thing and just go in and elongate that part out, because again, with compression you fix a lot of stuff, but if you can go into serum and change certain things, if you want to punch your bass or your sustain down, add a bit of decay, again you're controlling the dynamic, the shape of it, then what's the point of the compressor, right? However, you can also see the very powerful side of the compressor. We can shape the bass, give it that extra edge, make it sustain longer, make it be punchier. Again, next time you're mixing your tech house bass or working on music, make sure that when you're adding this stuff, you are doing it with purpose. And that purpose is that if you can ask yourself, why am I adding this? And you can give a good answer, then you're pretty much on the right path, in my opinion, instead of throwing fucking Hail Marys and using presets that make no damn sense on your tech house bass. With that being said, guys, you guys take care. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys next time as always.